when the Queen is involved, they realize, given her age, they don't want to, stoke panic, or they don't want people to think she's at death's door.
Well, Christopher, thank you so much for joining us. As always, it's always so great to get your perspective. And obviously, we have some big news this week about the Queen. Buckingham Palace announcing that she is suffering from COVID-19. She is doing light duties, not doing any virtual engagements. Right. So, I mean, what does that mean right now?
Well, I mean, she's going to be 96 on April 21. And obviously there's always a concern, given her age. But, she has been triple vaccinated, as they like to say. And doctors feel that as long as she's experiencing mild symptoms, it's okay. Apparently, she's going to be doing, still has her weekly meeting with Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, on her schedule for later this week. If her symptoms get worse, then she'll probably cancel that. But I think right now she's doing, some of this kind of cursory remote stuff, appointments to still do. I have to say, the recent photographs show that she is looking her age. She's starting to look a little on the frail side. And I think we're now seeing this real serious move toward a transition. And the bombshell announcement about her backing Camilla as Queen recently, I have a lot to say about that.
Well, then we'll get into that in a little bit.
Why do you think that they are, they do seem to be quite secretive about her health, even though we can all see that's clearly something, she's clearly looking her age. So why is there all this secrecy surrounding her health?
Well, I think they're always reluctant to admit that they contracted COVID. I mean, obviously, Charles, this is his second go around. And of course, all of them have, basically had at least one, at least Charles has, William has, William kept his COVID diagnosis secret for a year. So it's something with the royal family that they don't really like to talk about. But when the Queen is involved, they realize, given her age, they don't want to, stoke panic, or they don't want people to think she's at death's door and we're hiding it from them. So I think it's just a tactical or move to, reassure people that, yes, like a lot of other people, she's experiencing very minor symptoms. But let's hope that they stay minor.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you tend to forget she's still doing, so many royal duties, and she's going to be 96 years old. The fact that she's still doing all this is absolutely incredible.
Amazing. But although she said recently that she can't move, she told her doctors that she can't move around as much as she. Once again, if you know very many 96-year-olds, they may have a little trouble getting around. And I think also Prince Philip's death in April really just kind of was a major blow to her, and I think she still kind of manifests itself sort of physically. It doesn't have him to kind of lean on emotionally.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, if she is too sick or incapacitated, in the grand scheme of things, like, who kind of steps up to help her out? Like, where does that kind of fall in line? Obviously, Charles is next, but how does that kind of work?
Well, there is a big difference between incapacitated and sick. I mean, in other words, temporarily, people like Charles and Edward and Anne can step in and William, in case, to take over some of the duties, but she would still be Queen and still do the big stuff. However, if she were incapacitated and couldn't do the job, the Regency Act of 1937 takes place. And what's interesting about that is that was passed into law because George VI became king on the abdication of his brother, the future Duke of Windsor, and his daughter Elizabeth was only 10. So if something happened to George VI and she became queen at the age of 10, it would, she would be a regent, somebody to actually, help her make to make the decision. And at the time, it would have been the Queen Mother. She would have stepped in as the parent if something had happened to George VI, while the Prince Elizabeth was still a little girl. So that actually is still law. And if it's a really arcane thing, if you want the minutia, if any 3 of the following 5 people decide the Queen can't do the job, then Charles would be appointed a regent. It's the Lord High Chancellor, the Speaker of the House of Parliament, somebody called the Master of the Rolls, who's the civil chief judge, and then the Chief Justice of the High Court. If one of those 3 of those 4 people decide, it would have been also the consort, but Philip is. If any of those 3 of those 4 people decide that she can't do the job, Charles would get the job. What's ironic is that if something happened to Charles, technically, and I don't think anybody's really focused on this, the people who could also step in as regent would be William, Harry, and Andrew, because they are the adults in line of succession. But anyway, obviously it would be Charles.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a regency since Mad King George III's son took over for him, and that was the regency period in the 19th century, early 19th century.
Interesting.